Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the mind of Robert Kiyosaki, the author behind the massive bestseller Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to break down the core rules that have been shaking up how people think about money for decades. So let's kick things off with one of his most famous and, most provocative statements. This one idea is really the foundation for everything he talks about. It's designed to make you stop and question pretty much everything you've ever been taught about having a job and earning an income. To really get his philosophy, you first have to understand the story at the heart of it all, the story of his two dads. And this isn't just some cute anecdote, it's a framework for two completely different ways of looking at life and money. And this slide just lays it all out, right? You can see the two opposing mindsets clear as day. On one side, you've got his poor dad, that's his real father, a super educated guy who followed the traditional path. And on the other, his rich dad, his best friend's father, an entrepreneur who taught him a totally different set of rules for playing the game of money. Okay, so let's dig into what Kiyosaki calls the poor dad trap. He basically argues that the normal path, the one we're all taught in school and by our parents, is a system that's actually designed to keep you financially dependent, not to set you free. You know, his own dad was the head of education for the entire state of Hawaii. I mean, the guy had a PhD, he followed all the rules, and he hammered it into Kiyosaki's head that school was the only way to get rich. But, and this is the key, despite all those credentials, Kiyosaki says he struggled with money his whole life. And man, this quote really captures the feeling behind that struggle. He talks about this vivid memory of seeing his mom crying over their bank statements because, the good numbers were shrinking and the bad numbers were growing. That moment was a huge turning point for him. He just knew there had to be another way. So what is that other way? Well, this is where his rich dad comes in, teaching him a set of rules for building wealth that are totally counterintuitive and, for a lot of people, pretty controversial. It really boils down to these three core beliefs, and each one is like a direct attack on traditional financial advice. The rich don't work for money, they make their money work for them. Savers are losers because your cash just loses value over time. And then there's the big one. Your house is not an asset. When his book first came out, people went crazy over this. He was absolutely crucified for saying it. I mean, it goes against everything we're taught about homeownership. So let's actually break down his logic here. See, for Kiyosaki, it all comes down to one simple concept: cash flow. It's really straightforward. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket every single month. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. The house you live in, it has a mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs. It's constantly taking money out. And to really show you the difference, he points to his own life. He has a portfolio of over 15,000 rental properties. Every single one of those is designed to be an asset that generates positive cash flow, putting money into his pocket month after month. That's the whole idea in action. Okay, the next big idea is all about how you learn. Kiyosaki's argument is that our school system trains us to be terrified of the one thing that's absolutely essential for success in the real world, and that's failure. He's convinced that real learning doesn't happen in a classroom. It happens out in the world through experience. The school of hard knocks, right? Every time you fail and get back up, you're getting smarter. School punishes you for mistakes, but life rewards you for the lessons you learn from them. And this story from his time at Xerox is the perfect example. He was about to get fired, and his rich dad gives him this totally backward advice. You need to fail faster. So he did. He started volunteering, making 30 calls a night where he knew he'd get rejected, just to get used to it. And what happened? He completely burned through his fear of rejection, and his sales at his real job exploded. All right, for our final point, let's talk about something Kiyosaki calls cheating. But for him, it's not about breaking the rules. It's about realizing that building wealth isn't a solo sport. It's all about collaboration. Just look at this breakdown. It's like two different worlds. School trains you to be an individual competitor, right? You take tests by yourself, you ask for help, and they call it cheating. But in business and investing, trying to do it all on your own is pretty much a guarantee you're going to fail. Wealth is a team sport. And this quote is the absolute core of that idea. Kiyosaki is famous for saying he doesn't need to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, he actively tries not to be. His whole strategy is to build a team of experts, the best accountants, the best attorneys, who are all way smarter than he is in their specific fields. That's how he cheats. So, when you take all these ideas together, redefining assets, learning by failing, building a team, they all point back to one central, absolutely critical piece of advice. He believes it's the most important decision you can possibly make for your financial future. And that decision is this: you have to consciously and very wisely choose who your teachers are. Because at the end of the day, whether it's your parents, your professors, a mentor, or even an author like Kiyosaki, the people you choose to listen to will be the ones who end up shaping your financial reality.